Hi friends, do you ever find yourself refusing to go to bed even though you're really tired? Your body is telling you go to sleep. Your eyes are begging you
go to sleep.
but yet you stay doing what you're doing. You stay up for no reason at all. Or sometimes maybe you do go to bed early, let's say 9 p.m., 10 p.m., but then you stay up on your phone scrolling through the social media until you look at the time and it's 1 a.m. Well friends, you might be suffering from revenge bedtime procrastination. So you might be wondering, what the hell is that and why is it so bad? I mean, after all, it is made up of the three things that I enjoy the most: revenge, bedtime, and procrastination. Well, while each of these might be enjoyable alone, together they will be a nightmare. And this is what we're learning about today. Welcome back to another episode of the Bedhead Talks, where I discuss mental health, personal development, life advice, basically anything related to psychology, and that's a lot of stuff. So revenge bedtime procrastination is a term that started off with Gen Z and millennials in China, and then last year it was brought to English-speaking Twitter by Daphne K. Lee, and I'll put her tweet here. And I find it pretty funny that this was posted on my birthday. Hint, hint. So basically, this describes a phenomenon where you refuse to go to bed early because you're trying to squeeze some life out of your day after spending most of it doing something mandatory. The motivation behind this is to gain some control over your life and a sense of freedom during the night. So to paraphrase what Dr. Amy, I don't know how to say it, Daramis said, when everything that you do in your day revolves around someone else's needs, it may feel like it's worth it to sacrifice some sleep during the night. Of course, it's worth it until you wake up the next morning for your next shift or your next class and you regret it. And honestly, when I read that, it really brought back, I feel like this is where it started for me back in high school. I would say to myself, on a weekend, if I feel tired pretty early, let's say I'm tired by 8 or 9 p.m., I would refuse to sleep early because I'm like, it's the weekend. That's so uncool. Why would I go to bed? I would fight against the sleep and stay up, and I'd end up probably staying way past midnight because I know that the next day is a weekend. I don't need to wake up for school. Nobody controls me. Well, until my dad comes in trying to wake me up really early. And the other thing, at night, that's when everyone is typically asleep. You're not going to be asked to do chores. You're not going to be asked any favors by anyone because everyone's either asleep or they're having their own episode of revenge bedtime procrastination. You literally have this time, this quiet time to yourself without being disturbed. And this makes a lot of sense because actually revenge bedtime procrastination is most common in overworked employees, caretakers, especially women, probably mothers, stressed out students, people with anxiety whose brains won't let them sleep, and then there's also people who are just looking to escape. And it's also been described as a cry from overworked people. You know, again, you're just trying to gain some control over your life. You spent the whole day working. These few hours at night, that's when you can do whatever you want without answering to anyone. Now, people already experienced this in the past, especially people who are already prone to procrastination, but especially with the pandemic, this has gotten a lot worse for a lot of people, or it might have just started recently for some people because the line between work and rest has really been blurred, especially if you're working from home. If you're like me, I get up from bed, I come to my desk, I work, and then when that's done, I switch off the work account and then I go onto my bed there to be on my phone. There's no separation. I just go from one area to the other, and that can make it hard to switch off for some people. Not to mention that technology and social media in itself, forget about work, just the sense that we're always connected makes it really tough to disconnect. I mean, do you remember the days where we'd actually say BRB or gotta go on MSN and you'd actually leave and you'd actually disconnect while, I don't know, your brother plays a game on the computer because you all share it because you didn't have a laptop each? And aside from the fact that the pandemic makes it difficult to separate work and rest, a lot of us might be feeling pretty lonely and craving some social interaction, and social media is the closest thing we have to that sometimes. So it makes sense that we're trying to squeeze anytime we can, just staying on our phones. Now, another reason is to escape. Sometimes if you get into bed, unless you're really tired, you're not gonna fall asleep just like that. And especially if you have an anxious brain already, you're gonna lay in bed thinking about what happened today or something that happened a week ago, I don't know, and you have to face your thoughts. So a lot of people, me included, you know, I take my phone to bed so I can keep scrolling to avoid, you wanna avoid your thoughts and you wanna exhaust yourself so that when you finally put your phone away, you sleep just like that. Funny enough, we do that to avoid feelings and thoughts we don't want to have and to reduce our anxiety, but as we all know, avoidance of our feelings does not make them go away, and if anything, they're going to come back stronger. And so people have found that this habit of revenge bedtime procrastination is actually increasing their anxiety and can even start giving them anxiety attacks or panic attacks. People find themselves more stressed, and that's just because of the part where you're avoiding your feelings and dealing and processing emotions. Now, when we move to the actual consequences of doing this every night when you still might have work the next day, is that obviously this will lead to sleep deprivation, which has its own consequences. We need adequate sleep to function properly, to be able to work, to be able to concentrate, to make decisions. You need good sleep. If you've been working out, it will help your muscles recover and actually benefit from it. If you're a student or just you're learning stuff every day, it helps consolidate your memory. It improves your mood. It makes you look better, feel better, have more energy. And so when you're depriving yourself of that sleep because you just refuse to go to bed early when you can, that's gonna make it worse. And this lack of sleep then turns into decreased productivity, an increase in cortisol, which is a stress hormone. You become more irritable, emotional dysregulation, and lack of sleep is connected to depression, anxiety, cardiovascular issues, and metabolic disorders such as diabetes. And then if you're like me, where you might stay up because you're trying to be more productive, you think that if you stay up a bit more, even though you're tired, you can get something done, and you most probably won't. At least for me, I just end up on social media or watching a TV show. I'm not actually doing anything that I've maybe put off in the day or didn't have time for in the day. This will lead to a vicious cycle where you've stayed up too late. This leads to daytime sleepiness, which will decrease your productivity. And so you don't get much done in the day, and then you stay up again because you're trying to like make up for that, and then it's just a whole cycle. There's no winning here. There's no winning to pushing away your sleep. With this vicious cycle, you're accumulating sleep debt. Now you might be thinking, oh, but I'll just make up for it. This accumulation of sleep debt will not be reversed by cramming in some sleep whenever you can, or sleeping in during the weekend to make up for the 5 days where you were sleep deprived. And in fact, low quality sleep will lead you to be snacking all the time and gain weight, disrupt your circadian rhythm, which again, trying to make up for the sleep over the weekend, it's not gonna help. And for the ones who do it to get exhausted and sleep, the thing is that the blue light from your technology, as you might know, is gonna disrupt your sleep even further. It will decrease your melatonin, which is what makes your body relax and get ready to go into a sleeping state. When we take our phone to bed and we're trying to scroll until we get tired, we're disrupting our sleep even more. So ideally, we'd actually want to create a life that we don't seek to escape from in the first place. And there's a few ways that we can do that. If you find that you're working a job where you literally work all day and don't get any free time until night, or generally that the work you do feels like something you want to get away from all the time, maybe it's time to consider a change in career. Now that is easier said than done, especially in this pandemic, but it is worth thinking about and worth considering and working towards. You want to create a life that you truly enjoy, at least most of the time. And so if your job is taking up most of your day and you hate it, if you can't do that, then maybe start to think about adopting fulfilling hobbies for yourself. Something that you really enjoy, so that you're doing something for yourself in the day. Whether it's just going to the gym or playing a sport or learning a new language, dancing, cooking, if that's what you enjoy, baking, just a hobby for yourself. Read a novel, whatever it is that you want to do. Which brings us to the next part, which is just setting boundaries. This could be setting boundaries for work. This could be setting boundaries with the people around you, maybe family members that you live with, maybe friends who you're always doing favors for during the day. This is so we make sure that we are giving enough attention to ourselves and our own needs during the day, during the week, instead of feeling like we're always just working for other people and not in control. Especially us people pleasers who always want to help everyone else, or we just struggle to say no. We really need to strengthen those boundaries so that we know where work and other people end and where we begin. Especially if you're working from home, as soon as the end of your shift rolls around, you lock up, close your computer, close anything related to work. My thing is that I use the same area for work and then for me when I'm just chilling on my computer. So what I tend to do is switch off, log out, and maybe step away for a while, go eat something, then come back and do whatever I want to do. I try to avoid staying back after work to do work. Learn that if you're working from 9 to 5, That's it. There's no point to stay overtime. I mean, unless you want to, you're getting paid extra, but you know, that's it. You've done what's expected of you for the day, and now it's time for you to go. And I would avoid connecting your work email to your phone, or if you use any websites for work that can be connected to your phone, such as Slack, for example, I would not download these apps, just so you really have that disconnect when you are out of work hours. We need to stop living for other people 90% of the time. We really need to put ourselves first, so that we stop feeling that the only time we can actually do stuff for our own enjoyment is when everyone else is asleep and can't ask you for anything. Now, aside from how to make sure that you're creating a daily life that you enjoy, that you don't need to escape from, it's time to make sure that we're actually setting an inviting environment for you to go to bed early. So number one would be to set up a curfew for you to go to bed. If you're already staying up late every day, then it wouldn't be realistic to say, oh, I'm gonna go to bed by 9 p.m. Maybe put a cutoff point at 12 or 12:30, you know, midnight. That's pretty late already. Tell yourself that by 12 you will be in bed. From there, you can slowly move it back, or if 12 works for you, then 12 works for you. You want to make sure your bedroom is quiet, dark, cool. That really helps you go to sleep more easily. Try to keep your room as tidy as possible, at least the bed. Keep the bed empty. I've noticed that for myself. When I'm really sleepy and I'm sitting at this desk watching some TV or whatever, and I'm really struggling to just go to bed even though I'm sleepy, it's because there's mountains of clothes or my guitar or both and books and whatever just on my bed, which is just making me procrastinate and push back going to sleep because I don't want to deal with it. But obviously that's so dumb because I'm just delaying it. Like, I'm gonna eventually have to remove these things. So make sure that as much as possible to keep that area free from any clutter and tidy and ready for you to just slip in and sleep. Slip in and sleep. And then you want to engage in an activity before bed that helps you calm down and get into a more rested, sleepy state, which means keep away your technology and instead maybe, I don't know, do yoga or meditate or pray or read a book, something that won't get blue light into your eyes and will really just get your brain to slow down and make it easier for you to shut down. I get it if you don't want to think about things at night, so maybe reading will work for you. It will still distract you, even though that's not recommended, but at least then you're not disrupting your sleep further by being on your phone and getting that blue light to mess up everything. Now, the other important thing is try to actually have a routine, to have a bedtime that's the same every day, even on the weekends. A lot of times, even though we get our sleep right for the weekdays or the days that we work, then the weekend comes and we stay up way too late and you sleep in, and that kind of messes everything up. Your body kind of needs that routine, needs those habits to be formed to make sure that your quality of sleep is good every day, because a good quality sleep means you're more productive during the day and you can do more for yourself. It just reduces the likelihood of procrastinating your sleep at night because you want to be more productive. So try to not have a huge difference between your bedtime during the weekdays and the weekend. Now, in the end, if you implement all these changes to your habits and you're still struggling, then maybe it's good to consider seeing a doctor, seeing if there's any other issues that might be interrupting your sleep. But most of the time, implementing these habits where you make sure that bedtime is a quiet time away from technology, a real time to shut down, and making sure that during the day you're doing stuff for yourself as well as others, that will really reduce the habit of revenge bedtime procrastination. If you like this video, please make sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe for future content. Feel free to make suggestions for future topics that we can look into together, and I will see you next week, hopefully. Bye.